Kara Corey here from Kara Corey Fit Life, and I have another great recipe for you today. I wanted to change it up and do something a little bit different. Today's Sunday. I'm always in the mood for like a nice big breakfast on Sunday. So I'm gonna make for you guys a high protein French toast casserole. Maybe that doesn't sound super appealing, but who doesn't like French toast? And it's basically a lot of French toast and flavors all mixed into one. So to get started, you are gonna need an 8x8 pan to cook this in, and you're going to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. So to get started, we're going to first do our egg mixture. I've got 5 whole eggs already cracked and mixed up in a bowl, and what we're going to add in there is 1 cup of water. Throw that in there. And then for today's recipe, I'm going to use the Cinnagram. This, I think, is the perfect flavor for our French toast casserole, but you guys could always switch it up and use, like, I'd probably recommend maybe pumpkin pie or even vanilla or maybe caramel sutra would taste nice in this recipe. But we're going to use 4 whole scoops. So this recipe is going to be pretty high in protein here. But it's not like you're gonna sit down and eat the whole thing, so maybe if you guys are planning on having family or friends over, this would be a great recipe to have made up for breakfast the next day. Okay, so 4 scoops of protein, 5 eggs, 1 cup of water. Our oven is all heated up. I'm gonna go ahead and mix this up. Okay, so I like to get the protein all mixed up right away, otherwise I think it starts to get too lumpy if it sits there. So a couple more things to add to the wet mixture. We've got some vanilla extract, and I'm gonna add a teaspoon to that. Again, won't make or break you if you don't have vanilla laying around at home, but it does add a nice flavor for this recipe. And then lastly, we're gonna add a 1/3 cup of pancake syrup. I'd recommend the Walden Farms. I don't believe I have enough left, so I'm gonna do a combo. My Walden Farms, and then we also have Maple Grove Farms sugar-free syrup. This just helps keep the calorie content low, but if you guys are good to go in terms of macros, you can use pure maple syrup. So that's the last thing we're gonna add to our wet mixture here. Give that one more quick little swirl. And then if you can see the tower of bread I have behind me here, I move this out of the way. For the recipe today, I am using the P28 bread. So that's gonna make this recipe significantly high in protein. I'll give you nutritionals for both. I'll pick a standard bread size, but what I've got ripped up over here are about 6 to 7 slices of the P28 bread. If you're using a normal size bread, I would say use about 10 slices. The P28 is a bit bigger in size. So I will give you nutritionals for both just because mine will be super high in protein. So I've got that all kind of cut up in little even chunks, and I'm just gonna kind of throw that in there, and then I'm gonna stir this around and let it kind of soak in all the flavors while we mix up our second mixture to add to it. So just make sure you take a big spoon and kind of mix it all around. You want the mixture, that liquid mixture, to totally saturate the bread and get all those flavors kind of absorbing in there. So I'm just making sure that gets evenly stirred around. And a little taste test. Ooh, it's sweet and good, I like it. We're gonna set this aside. Go ahead and grab another bowl, because there's gonna be one more layer that we're gonna add on top of the bread. Okay, so next thing we're gonna do, and this might sound a little odd, but we are gonna take 1/4 cup of cottage cheese and add that to a bowl. And you're just gonna wanna go ahead and kind of like beat the cottage cheese a little bit. This is a lower fat one that I'm using, so it's already kind of whipped up pretty good, but I just don't want it too lumpy, so I'm gonna beat that a little bit. And next thing we're gonna add is some sweetener to this. So depending on what kind of sweetener you use, I personally like Splenda, as you guys know, so I'm gonna use Splenda. And I'm gonna add 1/4 of a cup of Splenda to the cottage cheese. Which I'm gonna take my 1/2 cup because it's not dirty. So 1/4 of a cup of sweetener in there. Bear with me, it gets even weirder. Ooh, I think I just got Splenda in my eye. I'll be all right. Next, we're gonna add some preserves, and I am gonna use sugar-free. You could use regular if you'd like, any flavor that you want. And I'm gonna add 1/4 of a cup of those preserves. So 1/4 of a cup of our preserves, and I went with the blackberry jam. That's about right. And then just go ahead and blend that all together, your jam, sugary, cottage cheesy concoction there. I'm gonna take my 8x8 pan, and we've let this soak. I'm gonna go ahead and pour the bread mixture into my pan for the bottom layer. Just get it all in there. I'm just gonna kind of smush it down in there. I believe I mentioned this, but in case I didn't, you're gonna wanna spray your pan before you get going here. And it's up to you. You guys could like tear this up. I chose to cut it up. You could put it into smaller pieces if you want. It's really not gonna change the flavor. It might change the texture a little bit, but there's no rules. That's the wonderful thing about cooking. Okay, so that's that, and then we're gonna spread our, I'm gonna put the topping on, and then we're just gonna kind of swirl it into it. Make sure I get it all out. In my sink. And you're just gonna kind of take that mixture and like swirl it on in there. Want to make sure you get those flavors kind of mixed around the entire dish. And again, I'm just going to kind of pat it down, smush it down so that it's kind of all the same height in the pan so that it cooks evenly. And the last thing we're going to add to this, I know there's more, cinnamon, of course. You can't have something French toast flavored without cinnamon. I'm not going to measure it. I'm just going to sprinkle it across the top. Good amount of that. And then the last thing, again, this is optional, but I've got these pecan pieces that are candied. They're perfect for this dish. I'm got about 1/4 of a cup left in here that I'm going to just sprinkle on top of the dish. Okay, so that concludes everything added to this recipe. What you're gonna wanna do is take a piece of aluminum foil. I'm gonna cover the top of this. We're gonna bake it at 350 degrees for 30 minutes, and then you're gonna uncover it and bake it for an additional 15. So we shall see you when the French toast casserole is all done. All right, guys, so our French toast casserole has come out of the oven, and the aromas of this recipe have just filled my house with flavors and scents of fall. It smells like cinnamon and maple syrup and just smells so delicious. This is perfect to bake if you have company. It fills up the whole fragrance of your house. So I cut this into 12 servings. You could certainly change the serving size if you want, cut it into 8 pieces if you want it a little bit bigger, but this is what one piece looks like if you cut it into 12 servings, and that is what I will give you the nutritionals on. So you can see it comes out actually nice, and I'll pick it up for you, nice and thick and dense. So even in a smaller piece like that, it's nice and thick. You could go ahead and drizzle a little more sugar-free maple syrup on it, or regular maple syrup, whatever you like. Maybe add a little whipped topping if you want to get wild. I'm gonna go ahead and take a bite of this and do a little taste test here. Might be a little hot still, but I've been smelling this for the past 45 minutes. I can't wait. Oh my God. That tastes phenomenal. It's kind of a nice twist on French toast, but the preserves, the blackberry preserves, bring this nice sweetness out. It's not overly fruity whatsoever. It just almost kind of pulls out those maple cinnamon type flavors. I absolutely recommend this recipe. Give it a thumbs up and share it with others. Don't forget to tag me on Instagram if you do make this. And I hope you guys enjoy.